Hi everyone, welcome to Thursday. And of course, every Thursday we do a share and review. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different because normally I tend to look at the New Zealand market. And what I've found for quite some time now in the New Zealand market is there is very little opportunity to obviously buy into individual stocks. Whilst I love doing the research and teaching you what the methodology that I use, but I sort of feel a little bit let down in the fact that there's just not many opportunities at the moment, and there hasn't been for quite some time. In fact, pretty much all year. There's been one or two, but very mixed results. So what I thought I would do this week is actually start looking at some of the index shares, if you like, that are available through Smart Invest. Now, one that I have gone in and had a look at, and it really did pique my interest, hence why I thought that I would share it with you. This one is the fund ticker code ESG. Now, what it does is it invests into the index, the MSCI World Index, excluding Australia ESG. Now, if you're not familiar, ESG stands for Environmental, Social and Governance. And obviously, especially in New Zealand and a lot of the developed countries around the world, we have got quite a focus on being socially responsible and environmentally friendly and all of these sorts of things. So ESG, when they first started out, these types of investments were very low performers. However, now they've certainly gained in popularity, and the research I was doing was very good. It was very strong performance. So hence why I thought, let's have a look at that this week. Now, just before we go and share the screen, just remember this is for educational purposes only. It's the methodology I use when I'm looking at buying into shares or indices for that matter. If you're looking for personalised financial advice for that, you obviously do need to go and have a chat to your own financial advisor. But let's have a look at ESG on the New Zealand market, and it's up here on the screen now, is because even though you pay management fees and things like that, but what it does is it's based in New Zealand dollars. So it's on our stock exchange, and it just makes it quite simple for me rather than trying to go and do research throughout all potential index shares that are available throughout the world, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, that are available. And it just makes it easier for me. It obviously makes administration a lot more easier and that sort of thing as well. So that's why I thought, let's just look at those that are available on the New Zealand market. And like I just said, if you're interested in looking to see what index shares there are available, just go to Smart Invest. They used to be known as Smartshares, and they have quite a suite available up there. Even Bitcoin, you are interested. Right, so as you can see, we've got it up here on the screen, and I've got this over a 5-year period. And if I look, it is a lovely looking chart, because back at the start of this, it was trading sort of around that $2.20 mark. Now today, this fund is up at $4.50. Now, I am recording this on Tuesday. The market's opened. It's already up about 3 cents just for the first 15 minutes or so of trading. So it's negligible. But I mean, like any market, you would expect to have periods of down, periods of sideways, and then pretty much it's been in a strong upward trend really since probably around the beginning of 2023. Yes, we had quite a bit of a dip earlier this year, and that was around the time that tariffs and things were announced in the US. And to be fair, most markets did have a bit of a downward period there. But if I look at this chart, it is looking really attractive. And that's what drew my attention to it. So let's put on our moving averages and just take a look. We'll pop on the 30 exponential moving average. And you can see there that the market is trading above it, which is exactly what we want to see. I will also put on my 15-week moving average. And if you follow me regularly, there's nothing special about these moving averages. It's about being consistent and using the same ones time and time again. I know people that use 50 and 100. You can use whatever combination you like. The key is sticking to it. Right, you can see here that the ESG shares is trading above both of those moving averages, and that's a really good sign. And even though it is making a new high at the moment, remember that trends tend to follow trends. Yes, there is going to be a top at some stage. Nobody knows that. But in this example, what I'm meaning is that all new time highs can generally create further all-time highs. And in fact, I was listening to a podcast that I listen to regularly over the weekend, and they were saying that the S&P 500 has had 28 all-time highs this year alone. So that's what I mean by following the trends, that all-time highs can create further all-time highs. And whilst we never know where the top's going to be, that's where putting our stop losses in place are really important. Let's have a look at this on a 1 year, so it brings it up to a daily chart. And again, you've got a lot of movement in that happening. As you'd expect, there are a few more red candles on the daily chart, but what I'm seeing is that when we're getting the green candles, which means that the share obviously closed higher for the day than where it opened, they tend to be quite strong green candles. The only thing that does sort of concern me with this is when I look down the bottom, down here, we don't have a lot of volume, and that's the sort of thing that does sort of concern me on a daily basis for this share. But everything else with it is pointing up. On a daily chart, we've got our moving averages pointing up, where if I look down here and look at the RSI, so it is up around 66 on a daily chart. So it is nearing sort of getting towards an overbought situation, but it doesn't really matter. But it is saying that it's pointing up. If this share is overbought, it actually doesn't necessarily mean sell. It means that there's buying interest in it. Same if a share is oversold, doesn't necessarily mean buy, just means there's a lot of selling interest in that particular share if it's oversold. Let's go back to the 5-year chart again. And I can see down here, like the volume, every now and again we get some really good spikes, which is great, which is what we want to see. But that RSI on both figures are pointing upwards. So this to me is quite a nice, healthy little chart. It's almost like a model chart that we want to look at when we're buying shares. These moving averages, as you can see here, they crossed at around June-ish this year, and we've getting a nice strong run. And if we look back earlier in the period, so back in sort of March, April 2023, that was where the moving averages crossed to the upside again. So the 15-week crossed through the 30. And you can see that, sure, it came down towards those moving averages and did close below it at around October 2023. It's really been in such a strong bull run, which is great. So they did cross to the downside back in April earlier this year, but now it's crossed to the upside again. And yeah, it is a share that really caught my eye, like I just said, and it had me interested. So hence why I thought, let's show it to you, because it's something a little bit different. And even though it is trading on the New Zealand market, there's absolutely no point in running the main board over this particular share because it's not making up our top 50 companies. So hence why I haven't done that. But everything else is looking really attractive for that particular share. And it's certainly something that I'm going to be buying into a little bit later. So we'll see how that goes. But do remember to put your stop losses in place. And that is where you predetermined where you want to exit a share if it goes wrong. That's really important. If you want more education around that, just let me know. Also, if there is anything you'd like to know in regards to share trading, share investing, that sort of thing, let me know. I'm happy to do a video on it and just teach you what I know. So until next week, take care.